All right, welcome back to SHOT Show 2024. It's Criterion Barrels booth. One of the biggest things that's been happening at Criterion Barrels in the last year is not so much on the barrel front, but really back of house. So we doubled the size of our production facility. The last 3 years has ushered in the highest demand on the firearms industry on record, including both world wars combined. So demand has been through the roof. We've had a hard time keeping barrels like our core series in stock since they were released over 3 years ago. So to meet demands, we had to invest in our own facility. We've purchased new machines. We have hired a whole bunch of new machinists, new quality control engineers. We're really proud to try to meet demand for the American public, just getting people the barrels that they need right now. That's pretty much the biggest thing that's going on in Criterion. There's gonna be a lot coming out over the next year when it comes to getting our vintage stuff restocked. Right now, we have a bunch of our vintage barrels coming back into stock as we speak. We have new stuff in the core series lineup, including 750 variants. It's something we've been unable to bring to market just because of the backlogs. With the new expansion, that's something that we're really proud to be able to get new products to market. So welcome back to 2024. It's still insane. So just special here for Thin Line Defense, we're gonna go over real quickly my personal opinions on barrel break-in and barrel cleaning. So I don't go too crazy when it comes to weapons maintenance. To me, you're simply looking at making your gun perform to its peak potential for as long as possible. So I do clean my barrel every time I shoot. There's a lot of misconceptions about barrel break-in and what that means and if it's important or not in a quality barrel that's hand-lapped with polished chambers. And to me, I have the unique experience just working at Criterion. I get to break in several hundred barrels per year. So I get to monitor velocities as I shoot a gun. I get to monitor accuracy as I shoot that gun. And I am a very firm believer that a barrel break-in process is important. I think it's kind of a two-step process. For one, you're breaking in the throat of the barrel. That's really like that first step. So when it comes to getting a brand new barrel out of the package, I always recommend patching it clean and dry, making sure that there's nothing in that bore or in the chamber. And when you fire that first round through the barrel, all of our barrels are hand lapped so that all the grains in the barrel steel are headed in the exact same direction that the bullet's going to travel when it goes down the barrel. It's very refined. When you go in and chamber a barrel, it's kind of like a drill bit. It's going across the grains in that metal. So, even though we highly polish that area, there's always going to be a bit of a transition between the chamber and the bore and groove. So when you fire that first bullet down the barrel, sometimes if there's any anomaly in that transitional lip between the chamber in the throat into the bore and groove, it can shave off small amounts of jacketing material. Because of the heat and the pressure that's present when you fire the gun, when that gets shaved off, it immediately gets turned into a liquid. And it gets deposited down the bore. So when you fire that first round, it is a good idea to use something like a Sweet 762 or a copper remover. Let that sit in the bore and really work on any copper deposits that were in the barrel. I follow that up with something like Hoppe's number 9 or take your pick, whatever carbon fouling remover you're looking for. And I flush the entire barrel clean with like a lightweight Rem oil. That usually only takes like 3 to 5 shots to break in the throat. So that would be like that first step in the barrel break-in process for me. Once I see any type of fouling diminish, I'm good to go. I can continue to shoot. But as you monitor velocities in your barrel, you will notice that it usually takes around 150 or 200 rounds for your barrel to flatline with velocities. That's really critical. So that's going to be where your barrel is most consistent and you're going to get the best, tightest groups. So I personally don't consider a barrel to be really broken in until you have approximately 200 rounds down the bore. And as far as like cleaning and stuff in between that, when I go to the range with a new barrel, I typically can break in the gun and shoot those 200 rounds, within the first couple hours. It's not uncommon for me to go to the range and shoot 500 or 1,000 rounds. So I would definitely go home after that point and do the exact same thing, work on it with like some type of copper remover, a carbon fouling remover, and then always preserve it with a lightweight oil. But yeah, barrel break-in is really critical. Cleaning, it's the same thing. Anytime you shoot your gun a lot, you're going to be having fouling. It changes the bullet to barrel contact. It's a good idea just to clean out your bore, your chamber, watch that throat in the barrel. That's a critical spot for consistency with pressures and things like that. But obviously it's basic professionalism to clean your gun. If your gun chokes or something like that because it's not clean, to me, it's always funny to see guys like that on the range. So That's my take on barrel break-in and barrel cleaning. Just a little bit more about some of our best-selling products, like our Core Series barrels. It's a release that we had 3 years ago now. It's been one of our best-selling products, but it really does correct a lot of the issues that we saw with government contour barrels, like traditional AR-15 barrels. So one of the issues with the government contour barrel is it's backwards, go figure. But it has some of the thinnest portions just forward of the chamber, and that's where the most heat takes place when you're firing your gun. So our Core Series really took that heavy front end of a government contour, which is there. Do some research on it, but it's based on government misconceptions about a lot of things. Really, it was shoddy craftsmanship on the government's part that ended up, building up the front end of the barrel. It was needless. But we take that material and we redistribute it to the rear of our Core Series barrels. That helps to absorb more heat. Plus, there's a lot to do with the geometry on the exterior of the core barrels. It's not just the continuous taper contour, but the angles themselves help to make more consistent harmonics, more consistent vibrations, and a more accurate gun. Plus, you have much more uniform heat distribution throughout the barrel. As your barrel heats up and cools off, it'll keep your groups tighter, keep things more consistent. And then, obviously, the weight being more towards the back of the barrel and lighter weight towards the front end. With modern tactical setups, you use lights, lasers, bipods, suppressors, and a lot of other front-end mounted accessories, and that's really where the Core Series, comes into play. It'll help your gun be more balanced. It'll help you be more effective with that rifle in the field because the front end of your gun is not going to be constantly weighing you down. So anyone who's ever carried a gun for a living knows that if you're at the ready position in a shoot house training for a week, your shoulders are going to be smoked. It really does help to have a much more balanced setup. So if you haven't checked out our Core Series barrels, I highly, highly recommend it. All of our barrels are hand lapped. Our chrome lining is unlike any other chrome lining in the industry. We hold the exact same internal tolerances as we do on any one of our stainless steel match barrels. They're exceptionally accurate. They're exceptionally durable. That hand lapping process allows us to have perfectly uniform chrome throughout the bore. There's no thick or thin spots like you find on like a traditional Cold Hammer forged barrel, for instance. So not only is it more accurate, it's also more durable because those thin spots are where you see cracking and eventual chipping occurring, and that's how you shoot out a chrome line barrel. But yeah, check them out.